Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan at the end of the Eagles bye week, and we are going to do our annual bye week Eagles self-scout episode. We're going to tell you what the Eagles have been thinking through this bye week, what they got to work on, what they got to do, as it will not be long, Adam. It's just, everybody's going to enjoy the weekend, and happy Halloween to those who celebrate, right? It won't be long where it's the turn of the page. We'll have our weekend NFL football action, and then the Eagles will be back on Monday, I guess, for something light. NickSirianni said they were going to do something on Monday, but then Thursday they'll reconvene to practice for or against, I say, the Monday night game against the Packers.
Yeah, it's cool. They get some time off. Boy, do they need it. I mean, you have to remember they won the Super Bowl, so their season's longer than everyone else's.
Yep. It's a great point.
Banquet circuit, whatever the case may be, getting healthy, getting guys off their feet. Hopefully they've had a good week. The coaches always work, unless you're Andy Reid. Well, no, I know Andy would send the players out. The coaches just about every bye week. They work usually till Thursday. Some coach will keep them till Friday, but give them Saturday and Sunday off. But the problem is if you give them Sunday off and the players are on a Monday, you know what? The coaches may feel like they have to come in on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line is coaches will get a couple days off to recharge, but the players are the big thing here. They got to get rested, healed up the best as possible, just recharge and clear their mind. And here we go. The gauntlet. Boy, the schedule has been somewhat favorable to the Eagles, but what I don't like, and I've never seen this before. We talked about this when it came out in May, but this deal that they don't play 2 home games in a row is just absurd.
Wow, it is crazy.
Yeah, because remember, it's at Green Bay, home against the Lions, at the Cowboys, Black Friday, home against the Bears, at the Chargers, home against the Raiders. Why don't they just have both? Well, the Raider game should have been out west. That way they could stay out out west for the week. But anyway,
no, it's crazy. It is. And hey, but look, there's no bye week for us, right? I feel like we produce as much content, if not more, than normal during the bye week. So just to remind people what we have coming up, because there's no game, so there will not be a game preview with Greg Cosell. However, it doesn't mean we're not doing a show. We are doing a show with Greg Cosell. We're going to ask him, and the timing couldn't be more perfect, to give us his tape breakdown on the new Eagles edition. I almost said cornerback. I'll say defensive back, Michael Carter II. He's also going to get into Nakobe Dean's usage a little bit, since Dean's been back on defense for the last 2 games against the Vikings and the Giants. And we'll get his input and his tape observation on that. And that'll be out, I believe, on Sunday morning, if not Saturday, for our Patreon members.
Good.
So, and then we've got our normal stuff as we've had all week. And Greg has broken down the tape, and Ray Didinger and Derek Gunn did their Birds Weeklies. And obviously, they're not doing a game preview, but the one that drops today is sort of their own analysis going into the bye. They're going to take a look around the rest of the NFL, the NFC East. Good. And then also give their little, their insights really on the Eagles too.
By the way, I don't think some of the Giant fans were not happy with Greg about what he said about Jackson Dart.
It's kind of funny. I saw some of the comments, and I hope Eagles fans saw that. Eagles fans who think that Greg has it out sometimes for JalenHurts saw that and said, "Oh, well, he just really, he's very honest and objective with his critique and just tells you what the tape says." It's not just Jalen. I mean, he was keeping in mind that Jackson Dart is a rookie, which Greg did say. Yeah. He was just pointing out times that he just couldn't see where the openings were, and he used the phrase "seeing it but not seeing it," meaning the bodies are all in front of you, but you're just stuck in the pocket, not throwing the ball, something that I learned from Ron Jaworski. So, but I was hoping that everybody took a good look at that and realized that it's not just JalenHurts, that, he's just honest with everybody on what he sees on tape.
Yeah. I mean, it was very strong. What his comments were critical, but it was just what the tape told him. But he was really strong. It's about as strong of comments he's ever made on our shows with him about quarterback play.
Yeah.
That wasn't positive, but again, it's nothing personal.
Right.
He's been evaluating quarterback tape for nearly 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've sat with him in Jaws and other coaches over the years. Paul Gunther's sat in there, by the way, with us, who's now at UNLV, former Raiders defense coordinator. Rod Russ, who Greg's talked about, has passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Rod was the Patriots head coach. one of the most brilliant minds on defense. Just all the minds that would come in and talk football.
Yeah.
But
Spags,
Matt Millen, by the way.
Spags drops by there.
Yes, Spags actually worked for, I think, well, I don't think he worked for him. Like the Temple head coach, the football coach, Casey Keeler, actually worked for Greg one year.
Right.
Valuing tape. But no, Spags he asked Greg if he could come in because he had a house in the area.
Yep.
So I actually met it's really weird. I met the guy who bought Spags' house at some event, some local event.
Wow.
He said, "Do you know Steve Spagnuolo?" I'm like, "Why?" You asked. He goes, "Oh, I bought his house." I'm like, "Oh, really? You did?" Okay. I don't know who the guy was anyway.
Well, one thing you know is he's got money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he probably is a mainline house. But overall, look, we're at the, and it's I think the bye. I know Nick was asked that, and Nick was like, "Oh, well, the perfect time last year. The bye was at 4 weeks, right?" But so this one's at 9 weeks. Okay.
Yeah,
it's good. I honestly, I'd rather. Who would not want to have it midway point? I know it's an 18-week season, 17 games. Why not?
I tell you, I bet a few offensive linemen don't mind. I tell you that, right? Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, they really could use a couple of days of rest. So that's good. We've had all that stuff. Remember, every single podcast we do is on our Patreon channel before it's up, a night before, sometimes longer, before that it goes up on the mainstream, and it goes up without any single ad in it. And that is patreon.com/InsideTheBirds. It is the very best way to enjoy not only Inside the Birds coverage, but bonus content, including our Chalk Talk, including our Ask an Eagle live stream, including our weekly Ask Greg Cosell that we put a little snippet of on our mainstream platform. But it's even better when you get to personally ask your own questions and have them answer them in a live stream. That is all for our Patreon members, patreon.com/InsideTheBirds. And I do want to shout out Barrett Brooks from NBC Sports Philly, former Eagles offensive lineman as well. Joined us on the WBCB show Tuesday. Myself and Andrew, we were live at Chickies and Pete's, and he was awesome. He was so nice to everybody who stopped by. He was great to my family. He is just a really, really genuine, salt of the earth dude. Barrett Brooks is, and it's really cool. He's a great dude. Yeah,
he's one of the nicest guys ever. So you guys are at Marlton. So it's Andrew and I this Tuesday at Roosevelt Boulevard.
Okay.
And the autograph hounds were there, man. It was crazy how many people were getting autographs. But Will Shipley's awesome with the people.
That was great.
Really respectful. And as I was saying, one of the shows, like, it was remarkable, the pictures there. I don't know where they got these pictures. Like, who knows? But, could you sign it for, whoever? And Will's fine with it. But just to find these pictures like you've never seen before, like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So, yeah, we don't know if we're going to have a player or not. But if not, Andrew will be signing autographs for you.
No, I'll be first in line. Hey, Philly fans, game day is stressful enough. Parking, traffic, long lines. We've all been there. But when it comes to your cannabis, Camden Apothecary makes it easy. This is the dispensary for sports fans, just minutes outside of Philly with plenty of free parking. You'll be in and out fast, no hassle, no waiting. And they don't just care about convenience. Camden Apothecary is all about the guest experience. Their staff makes sure you feel taken care of every time you walk in. Plus, they carry only the best quality cannabis at the fairest prices. So whether you're stocking up for the tailgate, the watch party, or celebrating a big win, you're getting the good stuff without overpaying. They even show love to the community with specials for fans, students, service members, and healthcare pros. Camden Apothecary, top quality cannabis, great prices, and an experience made for Philly fans 21 and up. All right, let's start off with our self-scout. And by the way, this whole don't let me forget this Michael Carter edition and the discussions we've had. I had a thought when we get to defense about who I think is one of the most important players for the Eagles coming out of the bye. Do not let me forget to mention that. But let's start with offense. I think, we both agree that the Eagles found something in their last two games, but especially in their last game with getting their outside run a little more in gear. The under center is good. A lot more. Under center is
terrible.
Yeah, the Fred Johnson thing, I think we all like it, but to be honest with you, that's like 8 or 9 snaps a game. It's not a be-all to end all.
Sure.
And they were just as successful actually running out of the shotgun against the Giants as they were under center. But even when they ran from the shotgun at him, outside stretch plays, getting Brett Toth, and I'm sure, we'll see if Jurgens is back, but either way, you use Jurgens similarly, Obviously, teams are keying in on their inside zone. That's what they've done for years and really good. Mix the outside zone or mix that the outside runs in. It doesn't have to be zone. They could pull a guard, pull a tackle. Yeah, could be gap, but get that going because you get Barkley to the edges and you get it all takes sometimes is 1 or 2 blocks. And you saw what happened on that first carry. You can get him off to the races.
Yeah, I mean, it's like interesting. They had runs early outside in the season, early on, September. Then they went away from it it wasn't just 1 or 2 weeks. To the point we asked Greg when we said, "Hey, could you?" Because they have Greg. We get Greg's tape notes for our Patreon level 3 members. So Geoff and I read them, and the guys who work with Greg, they chart every play. He gets unique breakdowns that you're not going to really find anywhere else, and you just started seeing like this is what they're doing. They're not running the ball outside at all,
right.
And it's just this is not normal. Like it's really bizarre, like it's abnormal for almost 2 months,
right?
And then all of a sudden, and now maybe I know people want to know why did they start doing it and why is it successful? We'd said for a number of weeks it's clear that Juergens and Dickerson are not right physically. What they clearly, Juergens is out, but Brett Toth played out of his mind. He played like he wasn't Brett Toth, quite frankly. I mean, did you see? Well, here's the point. Brett Toth, before this, looked like a guy who shouldn't be out there. Am I wrong?
Right, because to the point you're making, we don't think that they were using. It's hard for him to put like a down block on a big 325-pound 3 technique. But if there's one attribute that he has that's good because he's played all 3 positions on the line, is he's a better athlete than power player. So if you get him out on the edges or into the second level, again, on the outside runs or stretchers and things of that nature, then you saw it. We went through it on tape with Greg Cosell inside the tape. He decleated a safety or a line. I forget what, maybe it was a linebacker actually. No, I think it was a safety against the Giants because he was able to kick out, get a full head of steam and blast the guy. And that's the way you want to be able to use him when he has to play, more so than just trying to run duo and help double team and just get up on these big defensive tackles up front. So he looks like Brett Toth. When you use him incorrectly, he looks like a bad player. When you can use him correctly, he's still a backup. And there'll probably be times where you just have to live with the fact that he's not a great NFL player. But when used correctly, to your point, Adam, he looks like a functional backup who you can win a game or 2 with.
Well, man, he looked more than functional. He looked like a guy on your point that maybe you could start 3 or 4 times and feel good about it. But again, we have to be careful.
Well, that's you don't you can't be running all outsides all the time, right?
It worked, and also to add to that, it's 1 game. He was phenomenal, great for Brett and Stout. Obviously, he's developed them and helped. He helped find. I think this is going back a number of years, but I remember hearing whatever year it was in 2019 that Stout. I don't know that he found him, but he knew about him. Whatever the case, like he had a hand in it. So it's only 1 game. I mean, before this game, I'm like, it was kind of like, why is this guy on the team? I know that players will Shipley everyone sticks up for him. They love him. He's smart, but you got to perform, and he did to the point where you're like, wow, he's left. He leaves you wanting more. You want to see more. If Juergens can't play coming off the bye, I guess you feel pretty good about it. Now we'll see what the trade deadline gives us on Tuesday. But moving on here, keep running those the outside game now. You got to keep doing it. It looked like last year, to be honest with you.
It did. It absolutely did. And then that sort of sticking with the run game. I mean, we really saw something from Tank Bigsby, who's been a decent running back for the Jaguars, and they finally gave him an opportunity. And on a day when everything was going right, I mean, they gave him the ball, and then Saquon had the minor groin injury, and he wound up taking the ball a little bit more and going over 100 yards. And, if you're going to get that from Tank Bigsby, if he's even better of a runner than Kenneth Gainwell and has more explosion, then you might as well use him as a runner more than you used Kenneth Gainwell as a runner. And I'm not saying committee it at all. Of course, it's Saquon Barkley's show, but if you need a change of pace or if you want to take some mileage off Saquon as the games go on, but you don't want to let up, it looks like if Tank Bigsby can replicate that, then you got a pretty good backup there that you can rely on more.
Again, they traded for him for 2 reasons, Bigsby. Kickoff returns on running back. And people would say, well, why weren't they using him earlier? There had to be an opportunity. Okay. And remember, as we told you at the time of the trade, A.J. Dillon was on a 1-year deal. This is not just about this year. You always have to look at contracts. Dillon almost certainly won't be back after the season. He's already the 4th back. We'll see if he's still here in a couple weeks, honestly, because they're going to, as we were talking about on one of our shows here, they've got BG, they have to make a roster spot for him, roster spot eventually for Nolan Smith, for Jacorian Bennett. So someone's going to have to go. You can't keep everybody. So Dillon, to me, they just don't need him right now. Other than, he can help on kickoff returns, but well, you got to have 2 guys back there. But the bottom line is he just doesn't have a role right now.
Right. So here's an amazing stat also about Bigsby, Adam. In his 2nd game where he actually got carries for the Eagles, all right, he did something that Kenneth Gainwell never did in his Eagles career.
How to run with more than 10 yards? I'm just guessing.
Go over 100 yards.
Oh, over 100 yards. He almost went out. It's funny. Gainwell had a great career game with the Steelers a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, but the most he ever had was 99 for the Eagles. So
did he? I didn't even know he did. Oh wow.
Yeah, it was in it was last year actually. Remember, he had a good game against the Steelers. He had a couple of big runs. He also had 35 yards receiving in that game, but he only had 99 rushing yards. So, and I would say only, but he had 99 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns in that game. But yeah, Tank Bigsby's done it already. How about that? Second in his first real game, by the way. Yeah. Second time he's actually carried the ball.
He is the epitome of a changeup. What that means is you're having a contrasting style to the starter.
Right.
You don't want 2 guys who are 240 that just run up the middle. Like, you want a style that's different from Barkley, who's dynamic, yes, but Bigsby is a runner. Like, sometimes he won't run it where the block is. He just, I see something that you can't really teach, and he breaks it outside. It's called second level vision. He's got it. He can make a sharp cut, jump cut. He was, we talked about this at the time of the trade. Now, they pushed him against ETN last year because ETN's role with the Jaguars last year was they cut it down. He didn't play well, and moved Bigsby up. And after a while, Tank's role, he didn't quite get there. And then they drafted the kid Tootin this year with a new staff, and it seems like every time there's a trade, it's the new staff doesn't like the player, or they drafted someone to take his spot. So he was out of a job pretty much. He was going to be demoted. Eagles got him, and now you see. I know it looked bad for a couple months. You're like, why did you trade for this guy?
Right.
But I think if we're learning, just be patient. You don't give up 2 draft picks for a kickoff return. No, that doesn't happen. Trust me, they had more in mind. I think we all learn a lesson. Just be patient.
All right. Last thing on the run game. We have talked about this, and almost waiting to see it more, but obviously they had a great game. But Cam Latu, he's clearly a big physical body. He's doing well on special teams as well. He can play this dual fullback tight end role. So as you continue to try to work your run game, it feels like Cam Latu can get involved. And I thought in camp he had decent hands. If you ever want to just try to pop a pass to him to loosen up a defense, so that you're not telling everybody you're running every time he's out there, he could probably do that.
Yeah, I don't know why though that they only use him as his offset fullback. Why not use him as a wide tight end? I don't know why they're not doing it.
Probably because they just practiced him that way when Van Sumeren went down and want to use him the way they practice him.
Well, Calcaterra, when they have him in line, it's just
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they think it's a giveaway if they put Latu and Goddard on the field. Like, they think that, okay, well, one of them's going to have to go for Pat's probably Goddard, so maybe it's a tell. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I guess that's okay. I think that with the Eagles, it's okay if you're telling them you're going to run on first down, because they did that last year and they were fine. The whole challenge is to stop it. And Latu, to your point, gives you so much more of that ability to dare them to stop it than Calcaterra.
The only thing, we'll move on to defense in a minute. Just add to that, and then one more thing on AJ Brown. I just don't want. I struggle, like, when you get to the playoffs, having Calcaterra in line. He plays the F position, which is more offset.
Yeah,
but it does worry me. And then the other one is, I know the offense is really emerging. Petula's finding his groove, but I still want to see AJ Brown involved earlier in the game. The bang 8 is the quick slant. It's the quick slant. It could be play action or just a 3-step drop from Hurts, like they did with the Titans. The quick throws, and that's where he gets the rack stuff, because the DB falls off him because AJ's arms are so big, like the guy, he can't get him. and AJ could run after the catch. That's what we saw in Tennessee. I don't know why they're not doing it here. Yeah. I'd like to see that.
Seems like they never have, and that's
rarely
to me. Yeah. Rarely, right? And folding that in, the Eagles really got to figure out a way to be better. This folds into what you're saying on third down. They've been a really bad third down offense this year, surprisingly bad for all the weaponry they have, because they haven't been on schedule very well. Even against the Giants, they scored a lot of points, but honestly, they scored a lot of points in bad down and distance scenarios. We talked about that. I think the key for them is to stay on schedule, get into no huddle, and that might mean getting the ball to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith earlier on first down, second down, use the pass, set up the run. Hurts, to me, is throwing the ball with more conviction this year and making the more tighter windows throws than we've seen him in the past. That's another thing Greg Cosell has been very praiseworthy of Jalen Hurts' play this year. But yeah, so when you have that, you want to kind of capitalize on it, because there are times where you don't have that. So get that rhythm going and get that no huddle and that fast offense.
Yeah, that, and also though, I like the change up of him under center. I like it. They did it. Kellen Moore did it last year as a change up, but that's it. I think we have a good feeling. Although the Hurts thing in the run game surprised me though a little bit. It hasn't been what we thought we were going to get. You know, I don't know what to think about that. Anyway.
Hey, I still like a good night out, but I'm not always in the mood to drink, and that's why I looked for a great alternative, and I found one. It's called Sol's Out of Office Gummies. You get the same light, happy buzz, but you don't have the hangover. There's no sugar, and you don't get that awkward feeling the next morning. They help me unwind and ease into my evening without the alcohol or the next day fog. Sol is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Sol specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance your creativity and relaxation. With 5 different strengths, you can tailor the dose to fit your vibe. From a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their newest 15 milligram gummy for a more elevated experience. They've also got a variety of products specifically designed to help you get a better night's rest, including Sol's top selling sleep gummy, a fan favorite for deep restorative sleep. So bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Sol today. Right now, Sol is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. So go to getsol.com and use the code BIRDS, BIRDS. That's getsol.com, promo code BIRDS for 30% off.
So let's transition on over to defense.
Yep.
So I don't want to forget not forget my point. After our Michael Carter discussion that we did the podcast on, I thought, one of the most important people coming out of the bye week, significant, is Jacorian Bennett. I don't want to say he make or breaks the secondary, but if Jacorian Bennett, I think you and I both agree, and we've said this, it's hard to see the Eagles getting where they want to go if they have to start Adoree Jackson or Ringo at corner. It's hard to see them winning the Super Bowl. They got fortunate that number 2 corner wasn't picked on by the Giants or the Vikings. I don't think that they're going to be that fortunate against the Packers or the Lions and some other teams they have to play. So they got to figure out that corner situation. And to me, they traded for Bennett and for a reason, right? They thought he could help fix this position, but he was hurt. So he missed a lot of growth time. But if he can go in at him and play at a good enough level to be the starter there, and then you're not worried about, do I have to move Cooper DeJean outside? And then do I have to put somebody in the slot? I mean, I just think Bennett has the opportunity to stabilize the secondary if he can stay healthy and get on the field and play well.
Yeah, so a couple things. If they don't make a trade for corner, a true corner, we're not talking nickel, we're not talking anything else, we're talking corner. It's going to come down to, on your point, Bennett, when they activate him off IR, and whether DeJean is going to be moved outside either permanently, which I can't see Vic doing that. But I'm going to ask you this question. I asked Mike Gill this on Wednesday. Are you comfortable with Adoree Jackson or Ringo as your starting corners on your Super Bowl run?
No, I think that people may have gotten comfortable with it over the last 2 weeks because the Eagles won their games. But again, it was very mysterious how neither were picked on. But also, you're talking about an erratic Carson Wentz and an even more erratic Jackson Dart. I'm sure guys like Jordan Love and Jared Goff and the offenses that they have and the coordinators and the coaches are going to look. It was just a couple of weeks ago that those guys were being picked on, right? Earlier in the year by Knicks, by who else did they play? Stafford got, I think it was Adoree Jackson at that time a couple of times. So like, I fully expect this to still be an issue until it gets resolved. So no, I don't feel 100% comfortable.
Because you have to. That's what Howie's got to ask himself. Am I comfortable? As much as I drafted Ringo, but they kind of know who Ringo is at this point. Yeah, it's a backup corner who's being pushed because they don't have anybody else.
Yeah, remember they went back to Adoree. They gave Ringo a shot and then went back to Adoree against Minnesota, and then he got a concussion. And of course, it's not like Ringo got in there because Vic was like, and then all of a sudden he was out. So it's been a carousel. It's not...
People look. The truth is with Ringo. I mean, this is the same guy. Isaiah Rodgers was out of football for a year. He beat him out 2 years ago. Okay, right. It wasn't even close. In fact, the competition was over after a week.
Yep.
And then this summer, for all the Ringo truthers, there's like maybe 3 left from the 300 that started. Now there are 3 people still believe in Ringo as a starting corner. Like, folks, what is your argument? Like, again, Jackson beat him out. Okay,
yeah,
that was surprising that they called it over very quickly. So again, you have to think. Put your general manager cap on. Are you comfortable or not? If you're not, you can't just stand pat. Either try to get a corner or you stay with your roster on your point, Bennett, when he comes off IR. But it's kind of like a tryout in season. I don't like to have those things.
It's tough. I mean, his learning curve into VicFangio's defense was really stunted by going on IR. It's not his fault, but it's just
true.
It's really tough. But I mean, hopefully the mental reps work and he gets out there on the practice field when they resume and he can show Vic what he's got. And for their sake, you hope that he's really learned and can play in the defense and can execute. Because remember, by the way, when they came out of training camp, Keely Ringo was the 4th corner. You had Mitchell, you had Adoree Jackson, and you had Jacorian Bennett, who was technically the number 3.
He was ahead of him. He was. I totally forgot about that. God.
Yeah. So it's dicey. So if not, by the way, then Vic does have to think about that decision about, well, do I need to move Cooper DeJean outside and then play Michael Carter II in the slot, which again, there's a lot of questions to be answered before that, but that is an option if Vic wants to go there.
One more thing, just understand, this is not what if Coop plays corner here. This is not a decision for the future. You're trying to win a Super Bowl this year. You're not worried about next year,
right?
Or hurt feelings or whatever. It's about trying to win a Super Bowl. You do what's best for your football team.
Of course.
It's obvious DeJean is better than Ringo or Jackson at corner. I mean, let's put it this way. How could he be worse? Number one. 2, he was a corner at Iowa. Now, I know you and I talked to a number of teams that did question whether he could be a quality starting corner long-term. That was part of the reason, and Vic talked about the other part was kind of with DeJean, is he a corner? Is he a hybrid? What is he? That was another issue that clubs had with him. They didn't quite sure what to make of him. Well, he's an unbelievable nickel. He plays corner on base down. But in passing situations, boy, you like to use his length and athleticism at corner. But this is a long thing here, but Mac McGowan's is not worked out this season, unfortunately. And they don't really, as you said, we'll move this back to you. It's either DeJean at corner in passing situations, or he's at nickel, and you have the other guys you mentioned. Now, Carter will play into nickel. Like at some point, once he learns it, once he knows Vic's system, this is a different system that he's played in before. He's got to learn it. That could play into where DeJean works this season. We're not talking about next season, just this season.
100%. You do what you got to do in the moment. Andy Reid thought his only way to get to the Super Bowl and win it was moving his 3-time Pro Bowl left guard to left tackle. You can debate it all you want, but he actually made it to the Super Bowl because he felt it was the best. He was probably right. I don't know if they would have made it to the Super Bowl if they had played Tooney at guard and then some like Kingsley Suamaitea at left. They wouldn't have made it there. So
it didn't work. Tooney was awful against the Eagles, but
right. It's not his fault, but
you had to do it though. But you had you
had to do it.
You're trying to win. And that, unfortunately, they got Joe Tooney traded to the Bears, but it is what it is.
Hey, he's playing well for them. He's doing all right. All right, so up front, we've got to see what they want to do. I mean, you can't just not play Jahad Campbell. I don't think that's in Vic's playbook right now. Vic has acknowledged it's a good problem to have. He'll figure it out with him and Dean. I would imagine you'll probably, it's already started. Vic said it. Your Campbell is getting work in practice as a nickel edge, but he hasn't played yet as a nickel edge, but that might come depending on, again, what happens at the trade deadline, the health of Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith coming back. There's a lot of things. They have some options here, Adam. It's a good thing. And they have some good interior rushers who are doing all right too.
Yes. Now, if they've not made it a trade for an edge, you could use Ojomo and Carter's wide nines. They've done this before. Also, this is kind of minor to close this out. Ty Robinson has flashed a little bit. I know he's raw and he needs a lot of work. But situationally, I hope that they're not worried about using him in a big moment or, just as a change up, because he's got high energy, he had really good pass rush traits, but he had issues with technique coming out of Nebraska that showed up on tape and it showed up on training camp. And then Cosell said, when he watched him on tape in preseason, he said he was ways out based on what he saw. He said he needed a lot of work. But he's getting better. I think he could help them, Ty Robinson. They could always use the help inside.
Yeah. Usually you see some rookies get that growth over the second half of the year, and he has started to play a little bit. Be nice to see him flash. I agree. Pretty good. And we'll see if Howie Roseman makes a move to add to the edge group by the trade deadline. It's not bad. It could use an upgrade. I like what you're saying. You can use the interior guys a little bit more athletically. I would say, because they're starting to do it more, I like him a little bit more using those twists, those stunts, those line games, because these are really good athletes. They're not just fast forward to the quarterback players. They can move laterally well, and that's always been – I like when other defenses do it. I like when the Eagles do it. They don't do it that much, but if you're still trying to rely on a four-man rush or maybe a sim, it's always great to try to run a stunt in there.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they've got their work cut out for them. It's all about trying to win a Super Bowl. They absolutely could make another run. The roster may not be as good as last year, but this is a down year for overall quality of 32 teams. That's the word around the league. It has been really since the summer. It's kind of played out that way.
Yep.
And despite all this, they're 6-2. They're the number 2 seed right now. I know it's early, but they would be the number 2 seed right now. The Packers, that was an impressive win, come from behind win. They weren't down by a lot against the Steelers, but the Packers have probably the best roster in the National Football League, but they don't always play up to it. They underachieve in the playoffs, so I wouldn't give them the gold star just yet. And they play very, very soon.
There you go. I can't wait for that game. I think Eagles-Packers is going to be awesome. Monday Night Football. It's going to be a great one.
Right.
All right. That's going to do it for our Self-Scout episode. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming. There will be tons and tons of content on the way on the Inside the Birds platform. But that's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the Birds.